Okay, so the first thing you're going to want to do is trace a circle onto your paper. You can use anything round that you have laying around the house to do this. The next step is to take your paintbrush and dip it into some clean water and start brushing it onto the paper inside the circle that you just drew. It's no big deal if you go outside of the lines, but just do your best to stay inside the circle. So this painting technique is called wet into wet. It's one of my favorites, and I really enjoy laying the paint down on the paper and just kind of watching the colors mix together. You can have fun with this. Just lay the colors down wherever you want. So the more paint you put on the brush, the darker and more intense the color will look. I'm adding the black paint close to the edge of the circle. Also, I think it looks nice to have some areas that are lighter, so I ended up taking a paper towel and just kind of absorbing the paint in a few areas. I really love this technique because it makes blending really simple. That layer of water that we added in the beginning really helps the colors to blend together on their own. And so the more color you add, the more layers you get, and you start to see some really interesting things happen. Another reason I like to use the paper towel to pull off some of the paint is because I feel like it makes a texture that looks soft and cloudy. And now you're going to take your paintbrush and dip it into the rubbing alcohol. I sort of tapped my brush to make little drips, and as you can see, when the rubbing alcohol interacts with the watercolor, it makes a really cool texture. So now we're going to create even more texture by using some salt. Go ahead and take your salt and just sprinkle it around the painting. Before moving on to the next step, you'll need to dry the painting really well. Now you'll need some white paint to add stars. I used gouache, but you could also use white acrylic. Go ahead and load up the brush with white paint, and then you're going to hold it over your painting and just start tapping. After that, go ahead and dry the painting again. The next step is to take a small brush and start painting in the trees. Using the very tip of your brush, you're going to start with painting in the tree trunks. After that, go ahead and start filling in the trees. You can really take your time with this part. This is something you could practice first on a separate piece of paper if you want to. I recommend letting some of the light show through behind the trees. This makes them look a little more realistic. And also remember that trees aren't really symmetrical, so kind of let your brush strokes be a little bit random and spotty. I ended up switching to the smallest brush that I have so that I could add some little tiny details towards the tops of the trees. And that is it. This is the finished piece. I like how it came out, and I really hope you guys enjoyed painting with me today. Thanks so much for watching.